Good morning, all, depending on when you're watching this. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the new Durant card from the upcoming Sun and Moon 7A expansion, Thunderclap Spark. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a Durant card. And what do Durants do? Durant's Mill, ladies and gentlemen. Durant's Mill. Now, the translation does come from the lovely David Hochmann here. I was looking at the site there today, the official Pokemon site in Japan, and I was like, hey, that Durant looks kind of cool. So I messaged David, and David is a lovely man, right? He answers way too many of my Facebook messages. I was like, hey, David, what does Durant do? Like, literally 1 minute later, David's like, hey, here's a translation for Durant. He is an awesome man. You should all be checking out Limitless TCG on a regular basis. Probably the best unofficial Pokemon website in the world. So this Durant then has 80 HP. The other Durants still see a little bit of play in Expanded. In Expanded, you have Level Ball, so it's quite nice that it doesn't have enough HP, so it couldn't be got with Level Ball. But let's face it, 90 HP would have been better. It is a metal Pokemon, which gives it a weakness to fire. That doesn't really matter, to be honest. I mean, maybe Volcanion in Expanded, or the new Moltres that we looked at. No, that we will be looking at tomorrow, but neither of those are actually doing enough damage to get a one-hit KO, so we're alright here. Retreat cost of 1 is quite nice because Escape Board will get a free retreat here, even if you are paralyzed or asleep. Resistance to Psychic is good. I mean, to be honest, Garbodor will probably KO you anyway, but at least it means that Espeon will do, to put it in a very technical manner, naff all damage. And being a metal Pokemon means that you could use something like Metal Frying Pan to give yourself a little bit of extra bulk while getting rid of your weakness. Or in Expanded, you could use Reverse Valley, so you took a little bit of extra damage, and it means you are hitting weakness against those pesky fairy Pokemon like Gardevoir, but you're not doing very much damage here, ladies and gentlemen, so don't get terribly excited. Now, there is a non-milling attack here, which is not particularly exciting. It does 20 damage for a single colourless energy, and it allows you to discard a stadium in play if you so wish, though you do not have to. Now, in terms of the damage here, it's not actually a complete bust. One of the things I didn't mention for metal Pokemon here is Dhelmise. Dhelmise says that your metal Pokemon do an extra 10 to the defending, and if you've got a 60 HP fairy Pokemon, which might seem specific, but, you know, routes, and when the rotation hits, we're losing the psychic type routes, so Gardevoir players are going to have to play the fairy one, you will actually be getting a one-hit KO. Want another example? How about a Alolan Vulpix? That's right. There are actually multiple relevant 60 HP Pokemon with a weakness to metal that you can KO here. Yay! Now, in terms of getting rid of the stadium, maybe you use it to get rid of a parallel city, for instance. Open your bench up again, or maybe use it to get rid of a Brooklet Hill to stop your opponent searching out their Pokemon in a cheeky fashion. In Expanded, maybe you use it to get rid of Skyfield so that your opponent Zoroark, for instance, won't be able to do quite as much damage, although they will be wrecking you anyway. They don't need a Skyfield to get a one-hit KO, etc, etc. So getting rid of the stadium here could be kind of fun, and certainly with a Dhelmise you can be doing a relevant amount of damage. Again, you have to be in the expanded format, but if you use Fighting Fury Belt here, you could actually do that extra 10 damage without Dhelmise, so that could be fun. But honestly here, ladies and gentlemen, it's Durant. Durant Mills. And for a double colourless energy, you get to discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. It's very simple, very straightforward. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. I saw that there wasn't a lot of writing. I saw the number 2, and there's no multiplication symbol, i.e. it's not 2 for each whatever. So I assumed it was discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, but it's nice to have someone awesome like David to come along and confirm it. It discards the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Now, there's several things I like about this. First of all, it's a double colourless energy, so either you can put it in any deck whatsoever, which is quite nice. And if you were to use something like Counter Gain, for instance, you could be behind on prizes, and you would have to be for this to work, and then you could just attach a single energy and you could use this. Or you can use Counter Energy if you're behind on prizes, or you can use double colorless. The point is, this is an easy card to essentially put into any deck you like and get it rocking and rolling. But what I really like here, initially, is just the surprise factor. This, to me, doesn't seem like a Durant that's going to sit there and mill. No, I don't think it's going to be. You're only discarding 2 cards per turn. I don't think you're doing enough. The good news is here that you don't necessarily need to be doing that much. This is a Durant where you can just be like, last 2 cards in your deck, now you deck out and lose. Because, of course, the whole point of milling here, if your opponent cannot draw a card at the beginning of their turn, they lose the game. So if you ever find your opponent in a situation where they've got 1 or 2 cards left in their deck, then you bring in Durant here, you mill 2 cards in their deck, and you're off and rolling. And actually, I should mention, with these mill decks, generally speaking, you just let your opponent take prizes while you try and stop their setup, disrupt them, so you play cards like Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer to get rid of all of their energy, and you try and disrupt them so they don't set up, and then you just don't worry about them taking prizes, you just try and deck them out. So actually, something like Counter Energy and Counter Gain here will be spectacularly useful, because you will probably be playing this entire game while being behind on prizes. The thing is, if you really want to do stuff like that, Trick Shovel's really good. It's rotated. We'd better go into the expanded format. Oh no, wait! Because we've got Team Rocket's Handiwork here. That's good for discarding cards off the top. Darn it. That's rotated. We have to go into expanded. See where I'm going with this? These mill kind of decks here, they are better in expanded. So, although the discarding 2 cards off the top of your opponent's deck, it's very good as a surprise attack, I think in standard you put 1 or 2 Durant in your deck and it's a cheeky little, you didn't see that coming, did you? Kind of attack. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the last 2 cards in their hand. So let's say, for argument's sake, they've got no energy on board and they've got 1 double colorless left in their deck of 5 cards. You can use this and you've got a 40% chance of winning the game there and then by just getting rid of their last energy. So this is a nice tech in the standard format. Discard 2 cards, especially late in the game. Maybe you win by decking them out. Maybe you win because you get rid of all of their options. But in expanded, Durant is still a potentially good option. So the question is it any better than the Durant milling options we've already got? Of course, the gold standard here is the one from Noble Victories. 1 metal energy for each Durant in play, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Well, they don't all have to be Noble Victories Durant, so you know what? Why don't you just play 1 of these? And then this gives you options. If you've only got 1 Durant out, it can be this one. You can use this to mill 2 while you try and recover some of your other Durant. The other one you've got is the one from Breakpoint, which for 1 grass, 1 colorless energy, if it's got any damage counters on it, discard the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. Remember how I mentioned how good Counter Gain was earlier? Rainbow energy and a Counter Gain, and this all of a sudden becomes a single energy Durant, which, of course, you need because the other Durant is single energy, while also allowing you to mill as many cards as the other Durant. Point is, Durant is here to mill, and I think this is probably the weakest milling of the other Durants, but it doesn't need any damage on it, and it's not dependent on how many other Durant you have in play, and although I don't think it's great with the other Durant, I still think there's a little bit of potential. Honestly, I think if you're just milling with Durant in expanded, you probably just want the other 2. But I really like this as a nice little tech in a variety of decks to just wait for that turn when your opponent's got 5 or 6 cards left in deck and they're desperately digging for that last card, and then you're off and rolling. I really do think it could be fun, and for that reason, I'm giving it 3 Wassies. It's a card that you put in your binder and you don't play it, don't play it, don't play it, don't play it, don't play it. Hey, tech it into a deck at some point and maybe it wins you a couple of games. I really like it, although Durant is my least favourite Pokemon deck ever, and I can prove it because I've made videos proclaiming that exact fact. Anyway, it's now time for you guys to tell me what you think about this Durant. Do you like it as a tech in Standard? Do you think it could fit in with the other Durant in Expanded? Let me know. Go nuts. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do check out my Dragon Ball Super / video game channel, Wassy Plays, for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.